budget. I want to say thank you all for attending. I would like to introduce our board members in order of seniority. This doesn't have anything to do with their age in case they come after me. Jim Stevens, Lisa Phillipson, Beth Staub, John Jadhan, our vice president, Paul Petrowski, and Ed Flumma. Our superintendent, our assistant superintendent, Mary Mandel, Vince Condro, our assistant superintendent of curriculum and instruction, and Bob Knoll, our superintendent of school. Vince, I personally want to say thank you. You have served this district for almost 20 years with honor, integrity, and professionalism in support of our teachers, and more importantly, our students. It has been an honor to work with you. I wish all the best to you in your retirement, and I assume the board would say the same thing. I just want to say there are budget materials out on the back table. If anybody would like to get up and get them, you're more than welcome. The agenda tonight is a presentation of budget. We're going to hear from our committee chairs. We're going to have some students speaking. We're going to have a question and answer session, which the questions on the 2015 budget will go to me and I will redirect. We'll have an introduction of our board candidates, and we'll have some follow-up questions and answers. Let's talk about our budget calendar. Our budget calendar begins in the fall, and it has various reviews, factor updates like TRS, health insurance, retirement, committee discussions, and ends with board approval, PTA outreach, and yeah, finally a budget vote next week. We are thankful to have dedicated financial leadership in our district. I'd like to thank our superintendents, Mary Mandel, as it noted, Bob, Vince, our principals, and finally our finance committee led by John Jadhan, our vice president. And now I'd like to turn it over to John and the Budget Finance Committee summary report. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Can everybody hear me? Okay. Well, first, thank you, Kim, for your 5 years of service. You're not running for re-election, so I just want to say thank you for your service. I'm going to be brief because nobody really wants to hear about the Budget and Finance Committee. You're here for Mary Mandel's budget presentation. So, what is the Budget and Finance Committee? We are tasked with reviewing items that affect the budget, reviewing reports that track budget activity and trends. We meet with the internal auditors on a semi-annual basis, and we meet with the CPAs who complete the annual audit at the end of the year. I'm pleased to report that the district continues to receive an unqualified opinion as to the accuracy of our financial reports from the independent auditors, and that's the highest standard in the industry. And they go through everything with a fine-toothed comb. This is not some rubber stamp audit. I mean, I always laugh because these meetings are really boring going through the audits. But there's always the, what I call the bake sale improvement. Because when student committees have fundraisers, that goes in the budget, they raised $50. Well, but how do we know there weren't $60 worth of chocolate chip cookies on the table? Or they have a can drive? How do we, so they go through everything. But if that's the only issue they can find with us, we're doing pretty good. We're always looking to see how and where expenses are incurred. Over the past 2 years, we took advantage of opportunities to refinance bonds. That resulted in over $350,000 in savings over the life of the new bonds. And as a result of our solid financial position, the bond rating, our above average bond rating was reaffirmed. This assists us in obtaining a low interest rate on our bonds. We continue to look for new revenue sources. There aren't many, but when they come up, we go after them. Things like the Race to the Top grant, Title I school dissemination grant, retiree drug subsidies. Even now, as you may remember, I think 2 years ago, the town no longer collects your school taxes. We do it directly. We've now netted a revenue of $37,000 a year because of that, because we now keep the late fees and penalties instead of it going to town. We always look to capitalize on purchasing power. We're in a number of consortiums. That's how we buy electricity, workers' comp, insurance. We bid out services like banking, insurance, architecture. We continue to explore implementing the district's, shared services through BOCES. Now here's something that is very important and a lot of people don't understand. Not only does it make sense to use BOCES, it's aidable to a certain extent. So when an employee is a BOCES employee, part of that salary is aidable by the state. So we always say when you don't use it, it's like not using a coupon. We also work cooperatively with other communities, trying to share services wherever we can. You know, the long and short of it is, Mary Mandel and her team do a wonderful job. You know, the Budget and Finance Committee, we're there as a check and balance on the system. It's her and her team that are the real backbone of this, and it's not easy because the state is always changing the rules. No one year to the next isn't the same, and Mary's team is always ready to react appropriately and in the best interest of the district. So that is my report. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Next up is Lisa Phillipson, Chair of Staffing and Curriculum.
Thank you, Kim. The Staffing and Curriculum Committee consists of myself, Ed Flemma, and Paul Petrowski. We meet monthly with the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, Vince Condro, and the Superintendent on issues pertaining to instruction, curriculum, enrollment, and staffing. Let me highlight some of our accomplishments over the last year. First and most importantly, we assisted teachers and administrators throughout the district on the continued implementation of the New York State mandated Common Core standards. That involved transitioning to the Journeys reading program in grades 3 through 5, implementing the New York State published modules for grade 6 reading, and adapting the modules in grades 7 through 9 reading and math. In addition, we added AIS math services at each elementary school and introduced guided reading in elementary classrooms. Under the Common Core umbrella, we also approved the district's professional development plan, which included training teachers and administrators for APPR and for the new Common Core aligned curriculum changes. Throughout the year, the committee continually monitored the district's efforts in regard to the Common Core implementation. We approved recommendations to reduce local testing, revise the elementary grading scale, and create a safety net for algebra students. Finally, the committee drafted a resolution that was approved by the full Board of Education, calling upon the Commissioner of Education and the New York State Board of Regents to make some revisions that will help with Common Core implementation. We asked to defer any further new initiatives, shorten the state assessments, disclose test questions, and provide adequate funding for all students to meet the requirements and challenges of the Common Core. In February, the Board of Regents passed several changes to the Regents Reform Agenda, including several of those that were addressed in our resolution. And we did focus on a few other things besides the Common Core. We added a computer science course at the high school for 2014-15, and we have 30 students already enrolled. We revised the Delta program for grades 1 through 6, creating a literacy track and a STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math track. And we received recommendations from the K-12 Science Committee. The committee also monitored all of the extracurricular student club activity. New clubs for this year included a peer-to-peer club at the junior high, Project Purple clubs at the junior and senior high schools, and a leadership club at the high school. Finally, we reviewed several reports to assess the academic performance of students in grade 3 through 12. I am pleased to announce that each of these reports indicates that New Hartford continues its strong academic performance in all areas. Let me highlight just a few. Mr. Ede.
Time out for one moment, please. Coach Judy, please. Mr. Janice, Mom, we need to Coach Judy.
Buffalo Business First recognized our school as one of the top districts, number 12 in upstate New York. Earlier this month, Newsweek magazine ranked New Hartford in the top 1% of all schools nationwide, and our school has made this Newsweek list of top schools each year. And the Washington Post recently ranked New Hartford as one of America's top high schools, calling us the most challenging school in central New York, number 21 in the state, and number 245 out of 2,100 surveyed nationwide. You may have seen the story actually on WKTV last night. It has been a pleasure to serve as chair of the Staffing and Curriculum Committee for the 4th year. I would like to thank fellow committee members Paul Petrowski and Ed Flemma for all of their hard work over the past year. I would also like to thank all of our teachers who have worked especially hard these last 12 months. Your dedication and commitment to the district and to your students is very much appreciated. And finally, I would like to take a moment to thank Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, Vince Condro, who is retiring next month. Honestly, I don't know how New Hartford will manage without him. I'm sorry, Alan. He has been an educational leader in our district for 19 years, 10 as the high school principal and 9 as assistant superintendent. He has guided New Hartford through many curriculum changes and educational challenges, and he has done so with enormous expertise, dedication, and passion. He will be sorely missed by everyone in the school district. Thanks again, Vince, for everything you have done for New Hartford.
Thank you, Lisa. Next up is Beth Sods, Chair of the Building, Grounds, and Transportation Committee.
Hello. So I'm chair of the BG&T committee, as we affectionately refer to it. We are charged with reviewing the district's facilities, grounds, equipment, and transportation operations in order to make recommendations to the full Board of Education regarding the short-term and long-term plans regarding the physical components of the school district. The district currently maintains 5 school buildings, 2 bus garage facilities, and 110 acres of land. The BG&T committee takes pride in playing a crucial role in the overall long-term facilities plan for the district. In this past year alone, the committee has researched and acted upon several important initiatives, many of which were the source of actions by this full body. These include the continued implementation of energy efficiency measures to reduce the immediate and long-term cost of utilities, saving the district approximately $160,000 over 10 years. These are things as simple as changing some light bulbs out. Continued participation in regional contracts for the purchase of gas and electric supplies, which are bid through a consortium of more than 100 school districts and municipalities. This initiative has saved the district $100,000 this year, and over the past several years in excess of $300,000. Furthermore, we are responsible for the inspection or supervising the inspection of building, grounds, and the transportation department. The committee annually reviews the physical plants and transportation inventories along with the proposed replacement schedules. The committee hosted the full board in an inspection of each building, as well as reviewing the annual fire inspection reports and building condition surveys. They're calling right now to tell us all about it. Each building passed its annual fire inspections, and immediate actions were taken to mitigate any outstanding concerns. The Transportation Department excelled in its state inspection and continues to provide one of the best transportation services in the state. We supported a proposition for the purchase of buses. The committee reviewed the bus proposition, which will allow the district to follow a long-range bus replacement plan that was established to provide for the safety of our children and maintain efficient vehicles. The Facilities Advisory Committee long-range recommendations. The committee's charge was to update and further develop our long-range facilities plan according to the district's facility needs and financial outlook. This plan was presented to the BG&T committee and subsequently adopted by the Board of Education in February 2014. We also are responsible for the evaluation and implementation of health and safety initiatives. The 2014-15 budget continues to include resources to enhance the safety and security of our building, grounds, and buses. In addition to participating in the BOCES shared safety service, the budget includes resources to support increased safety initiatives such as school resource officers, a new collaboration with the New Hartford Police Department for increased security coverage in the buildings, bullying prevention, training and support, and upgraded security cameras. Security cameras have been installed on the exterior front entrance at Perry Junior High, as well as the interior and exterior of Hughes and Miles Elementary. Exterior security lighting and cameras were installed near the basketball courts and play areas at the Bradley Elementary School. Also, a camera was relocated from inside the vestibule near Bradley Library to the exterior of the building in the same location. 3 additional cameras have been installed at the front exterior of the high school. A plan to install cameras on 5 buses per year was implemented in 2012-13 and is continuing this year. In cooperation with the village DPW, district-wide tree trimming around buildings and the property perimeter has been completed to improve visibility and safety. On March 31st, 2014, I'm pleased to announce the district was presented with the Utica National School Safety Excellence Award in recognition of the district's commitment to safety through policies and practices. The district has been awarded the highest level, titanium, with honors, and has also received a $500 grant for use in furthering safety efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. Next on the agenda are major highlights of budget. So up next is our superintendent, Mr. Knoll.
Thank you, Ms. Luker, and welcome everyone. And on behalf of the Board of Education, I'd like to thank all of you for attending this evening's public hearing and showing your interest in our school district. This evening, we are pleased to present the 2014-2015 proposed spending plan, scheduled to be placed before the residents of the district on May 20th. This spending plan continues an attempt to balance the needs of multiple groups, including our students, community, teachers, and staff. The Board of Education on an annual basis adopts goals, and a major focus is to continue long-range planning. Long-range financial, personnel, facility, and curriculum plans are in place to allow our district to continue as a top-performing school district and at the same time avoid program cuts and spikes in tax rates that have hindered many school districts. Our district has utilized these plans to maximize state aid, eliminate instructional, non-instructional, and administrative positions, undertake capital improvement projects, replace technology and curriculum materials in an effective and efficient manner, and finally, absorb historic state aid cuts. As you know, in 2010, the state of New York faced a $10 billion budget gap. In order to close that gap, legislation was adopted to reduce state aid to school districts. The term used for this decrease is Gap Elimination Adjustment, or GEA. Our GEA for the current year is $1,462,000, and for the 2014-2015 year, it will be $1,235,000. In total, over the past 5 years, our students and school district have lost almost $8.2 million worth of opportunities. And in the back of the room, you will see a flyer on New York State Gap Elimination Adjustment. And in the first paragraph at the end, you will note that $1.32 billion are still in place for GEA. And you can see on this chart, in 2014-2015, the state of New York is projecting a $2 billion surplus. So school officials will say there is no surplus as long as gap elimination adjustment is still in place. It really is the school's money. Our state aid for 2014, for the 2014-2015 school year, provides for 27% of the operating budget, when just 5 years ago it represented 31% of our operating budget. With GEA implemented, our operating aid is less than what we received a decade ago in the 2003-2004 school year. In order to address declining state aid, we continue advocating to state officials for restoration and redirect existing resources to support programs and opportunities for our students. The proposed spending plan for the 2014-2015 school year represents a 1.5% increase over the prior year. The proposed budget follows multiple years of conservative spending plans to align with 5 years of state aid cuts and freezes. At the same time, we have had to absorb increases in mandated pension costs and implement other strategies to control spending. Our average percentage increase in the last 5 years has been 1%. The outcome has resulted in a district that has controlled spending and reduced staff through attrition in order to hold down tax increases while absorbing unprecedented cuts in state aid. Despite the aforementioned challenges, our robust programs remain intact to prepare our students for college and career readiness. Recently, it was mentioned our high school was recognized as one of America's best high schools by Newsweek and the Washington Post. These publications ranked our treasured high school in the top 1% in the nation. Finally, this proposed spending plan was a united effort of the Board of Education, faculty, staff, and administration to develop a budget that provides for the needs of our students while maintaining fiscal responsibility owed to the community at large. This collaboration, along with multi-year planning, continues to assist us through extraordinary economic challenges and allows us to be good stewards and responsible to multiple parties. At this time, I'll turn it over to Assistant Superintendent Vince Condro, who will provide program highlights. Vince?
Thank you, Mr. Knoll. Good evening, everyone. First, I'd like to thank Mrs. Luker, Mrs. Phillipson for those kind words, and also like to thank the board and the community for the opportunity to serve the students, families, and faculty of New Hartford. It's all I've ever done. Out of college, I became a teacher at age 22, and I'm looking forward to my retirement years. But this has absolutely been the culmination of my career path, and I am very honored to be able to serve this district in any small way. I'm not from the area. The school, I came to the area to have the opportunity to be a high school principal, and I brought my 5 children with me. Had a great experience of handing 5 children their high school diplomas, which was really a pleasure. I think it's a very, very special place. So I would like to tell you about that special place. So first, we have a very, very strong, comprehensive curriculum that may be a little bit difficult to read, but that first kind of bullet item are our curriculum priorities. These are things our core values and our core beliefs, a guaranteed and viable curriculum, teaching for understanding, using a common language of instruction, shared literacy, shared responsibility for literacy, high expectations and support for all learners, and using results to inform instruction. Everything that we do in our curriculum world will revolve around one of those core principles. We also provide support for students and extra help for students at all grade levels. We have a national and globally recognized advanced placement program. We have course offerings in 16 different courses in science, mathematics, history, government, psychology, world language. This year we added environmental science to our catalog. We boast a pre-engineering program called Project Lead the Way, which prepares students for careers in engineering and technology. Continuing on our strong comprehensive curriculum, we have 4 foreign language or world languages: Spanish, French, Latin, and Mandarin. We offer courses and offerings in art and music, including musical theater and orchestra and band and portfolio, just lots of opportunities. Our high school boasts high interest electives at the high school that include forensic science, ecology, journalism, humanitarian law, biotechnology. And as Ms. Phillipson said, we're going to add computer science in the fall. We revised and will implement an updated elementary enrichment program, which was formerly called Delta. It'll have a dual-pronged approach in literacy and in STEM. In our district, we have one of the few schools that have a local graduation requirement where all students are expected to demonstrate competence in computer applications before graduating from high school. In addition to a strong, comprehensive academic program, we offer opportunities for participation in extracurricular activities. And these are often the memories that the children carry with them long after they leave New Hartford. We have 64 interscholastic sports for boys and girls from grade 7 through 12. We have opportunities in music and drama, such as marching band, choir, orchestra, symphonic band, plays, and musicals. We have clubs and organizations for students at all grade levels to support a variety of academic interests. And you heard some of the new ones that came out this year with peer-to-peer clubs, Project Purple, and the Leadership Club at the high school. Our students consistently perform very well, and we have a lot to be proud of. Our students consistently outperform state averages and similar school averages on state assessments, including Regents exams. Our students participate in our nationally and globally recognized AP program at levels that are above the national average. Consistently, more than 99% of our graduates pursue post-secondary education, again, exceeding state and similar school averages. And all of our data, our other factors, point to high-performing school district. Our attendance rate is very high, our dropout rate is very low, and our suspension rate is low. Our graduation rate is also high. Up here. There we go. You heard others speak about our national recognition, our high school being ranked by Newsweek and the Washington Post. Our music program, again, I believe for the 8th time, was rated as one of the best communities in America for music education. Trouble here, Mary. Yeah. Professional development. Professional development is a key to sustaining all the high-quality educational program. Training of teachers is really of the utmost importance. We have a needs-based, job-embedded professional development program. We have a very, very active teacher center where more than 98% of our teachers take advantage of the training opportunities. We have a new teacher induction program that is designed to make sure that teachers in their first few years of teaching get the support they need so they can start a successful career. And we also participate in professional networking, working with other school districts in the BOCES and the state. We also serve our community. We have several community programs. First, we regularly communicate with the community through newsletters, informing our residents of the achievements of our students and our faculty. We have a community education program where citizens can take courses that are sponsored by the school in things as varied as watercolor and yoga and swimming and basketball. We have a parent workshop series where parents are invited in to receive some training on some timely topics. And finally, we open our buildings and facilities to use, by use of community groups. That's all I had. Really having trouble. If we can advance that slide, we'll move on. I mean, I'll go do it by hand.
It is my pleasure to introduce our Assistant Superintendent for Business Affairs, Mary Mann.
Thank you all. Hopefully I won't have any technology glitches up here, but if you will, I will just skip through a few slides. You've heard this a few times already. Our education spending plan, the proposed spending plan, is a $48,476,646, which presents an increase of spending of 1.5%. We're able to keep our spending increases low, again, as you heard earlier, as a result of our long-range plans and our cost containment initiatives. The following are some significant factors affecting the budget for the 14-15 school year. As you can see from this chart, the majority of our increases are as a result of salaries and mandated retirement system benefits and FICA. 1.26% increase is associated with salaries and 3% increase associated with health insurance, which is below the national average, significantly below the national average. And the support salaries and educational salary increases are low as a result of 10 retirements that we received, as well as a reduction of one position through attrition, which we are now participating with BOCES for that position. You can see there is an increase in the BOCES shared services, just in excess of $297,000. And again, you heard earlier, we do maximize We do purchase shared services with BOCES to obtain maximum state aid. We receive BOCES aid, and we receive up to 67% in aid for purchasing some services. And I've listed some of the examples on the slide of some of the services that will be increasing this year. For example, we're printing some of our textbook modules through BOCES. We do have an increase of approximately $10,000 in administration, rent, and debt as a result of a capital project that BOCES had on long-range plans. We have increase in students with special needs that are placed at BOCES. We purchase the technology, any of our technology purchases now through BOCES, again to maximize aid, and also participate in large bids with multiple school districts. We also participate in the safety service through BOCES, just to name a few. Our educational supplies and equipment budget continues to support new curriculum initiatives, professional development, in the curriculum review cycle of the K through 12 science, as Mr. Condro had indicated earlier. In the contractual area, you'll see a decrease. Ms. Soggs talked about this earlier. The decrease is a result of our participation with over 100 school districts with an energy consortium, where we've saved a significant dollars over the years for their budget by bidding and taking advantage of economies of scale. Also, there's a decrease, as mentioned earlier by Mr. Jadhan, on our debt service as a result of refinancing some bonds and some retired debt that we have. Although we've controlled spending, we continue to follow our long-range plans, which assist during the budget development process. And again, you've heard some of these already. We have the Long-Range Facilities Planning Committee, which the long-range plan was adopted by the board this winter. We have cost containment initiatives where we've reduced positions through attrition and not layoffs. We've restructured duties, and we redesigned by participating with BOCES for some of those positions. We continue with our curriculum planning cycle, and again with the K-12 science, and we have reduced a number of positions over the years through attrition to be able to absorb the significant cuts in state aid that our district has experienced. Our average budget increase has been less than 1% over the past 4 years. As you can see on this graph, New Hartford would be the darker color purple, and the light color purple would be New York State school districts' average spending. Our total expenditure per pupil is $3,000 below the state average. And the 11-12 school year is the most recent data that we do receive. It does lag by a few years. Through cost containment initiatives such as self-insured health insurance plan, new prescription drug plan provider discounts, our change in health insurance provider and wellness initiatives, those 3 items alone have saved the district millions of dollars over the past 10 years. Through cooperative purchasing and bidding, the district has saved over $300,000 this year to date. And we also participate in consortiums that provide economies of scale to control costs, and many of those are listed here. Again, the Energy Services Consortium, which we've saved significant dollars, workers' compensation, purchase of technology, etc. All of these initiatives have allowed us to channel our dollars into the educational program. The bus proposition for this year. It will allow us to follow the district's long-range bus replacement plan that was to establish to help ensure the safety of our children and to maintain efficient vehicles and keep our costs down as a result. We receive up to 67% aid on the purchase of these buses. We're proposing to purchase 5 buses and replace 6 buses which have an average of 100,000 miles and 10 to 11 years of service in the district. We do obtain, this is one of those aid areas that does continue to flow. So we do, not only are we cognizant of trying to keep our vehicles efficient and keep costs down and our students safe, but also this is one of the aid areas that the aid is flowing. So we are maximizing the aid in this area as well. Talked about our debt service already. Mr. Knoll reviewed the gap elimination adjustment with you earlier in the presentation. And again this year, this is the revenue side of the budget. Again this year we performed a comprehensive review of all revenues to maximize our resources to help absorb our state aid cuts such as the gap elimination adjustment and the broken foundation or general operating aid promise. This is just another chart to show you the decrease over the last few years. The broken promise with foundation aid. The foundation aid helps pay for our daily operation of schools, such as salaries, heat, light. If you look in the far right corner, the 14-15 school year, if the foundation aid was fully funded or fully implemented for next year, the district would be receiving over $9 million in foundation aid. And we are actually receiving, according to the legislative budget, just in excess of $7 million. So it's almost a $2 million deficit. In total, with the gap elimination adjustment and the foundation aid, in total, cumulatively over the past several years, that would add up to $16.7 million in aid for the district. Again, as mentioned earlier, our revenues come primarily from 6 areas. Revenues from state aid and tax receipts, such as tax levy and pilot payments, make up approximately 96% of our budget. The remaining 4% come in the following areas: tuition, interest, and end-of-year balance, for example, and some miscellaneous items such as admissions, student admissions, and some refunds. Some of the additional items for revenue, the pilot, for example, pilot budget line item has decreased for next year because the Special Metals Corporation has had a pilot agreement that has now gone onto the tax rolls and they're paying 100% tax. So as a result, the assessments are increased on one side and the budget line item for pilot has been decreased. We also have an area for tuition and Chapter 721 aid. This area is revenue derived from state aid for certain students with disabilities and special needs. Interest for our budget for next year has decreased. That is as a result of reduction in rates. As we're all aware of, reduction in some interest rates. The district has very, very limited access to investing monies. We're very limited to money markets, CDs, et cetera, and the interest rates have been very low over the past few years. So we anticipate very little growth in this. Actually, we anticipate a decrease in the interest area and very little growth for the following year. Our BOCES space rental line item in the budget has also decreased. That's as a result of we're moving summer school back to the BOCES campus this year. As a result of their new wonderful building they have space and they didn't need to borrow our classrooms anymore at Perry Junior High. End of year balance is a remaining balance to maintain stability during difficult economic times. It is the result of our cost containment initiatives. We work diligently to respond to economic challenges, but continue to propose a budget that has constraints, largely due to the state's broken promise on general aid to schools. The culmination of all of these plans allows for a proposed tax increase of 1.9%. And this equates to an estimated $28 per year on a home that is has a taxable assessment of $100,000 with the enhanced star and approximately $41 per year on that $100,000 home with a basic star exemption. A couple other items that affect our budget and our budget planning. The tax levy limit, sometimes referred to as the tax 2% property tax cap. This year, the 2% is really 1.46%. And the main purpose of the tax levy limit was to determine the level of voter support that is needed for the school budget to pass. Our budget is below the tax levy limit. Some of the nuances with this law are that the district must follow a complex 8-step formula that begins with the previous year's levy. Again, the 1.46% is one step in that 8-step formula. And that's what it looks like. I won't go over that. Some of the other items in the 8-step formula are the tax-based growth factor, allowable growth factor, which is CPI or 2%, and CPI for this year is 1.46. Sorry. Another legislation that was just passed this spring is called the property tax freeze. The property tax freeze freezes taxes on the primary residence of homeowners that have star exemption and income at or less $500,000 in school districts and local governments that stay within the property tax levy limit. So if all of the municipalities that we're associated with stay below the property tax levy limit that I just talked about, which they all are, including the school district, beginning in the 14-15 school year, school district, homeowners in our school district will receive a check from New York State for the increase in their taxes. So the check will come for the school tax increase in 2014 and the following year for the other municipalities. So in essence, a 0% increase in tax. In summary, the proposed budget is a culmination of several meetings and plans developed and followed by the Board of Education, administration, faculty, and staff that meets the needs of our students and our community. The budget vote and election is on May 20th, 2014 in the high school gymnasium from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. where you will be presented with the budget vote, the bus referendum, and election of 2 candidates for 5-year terms. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Mary reminds me that at $28 per 100K of assessment, that's less than her family of 4 to go to McDonald's. So she does a phenomenal job, and this doesn't happen by chance. For years of dedication and experience with the whole administration, I say should be applauded. Okay, we're on to our question and answer session. Questions will go to me, and I will redirect questions to the appropriate board members. So if anybody has any questions, please stand up and, oh, students are coming? Oh, great. We're going to have our students come up. Great.
Hello everyone, my name is Madeline Paul and I'm currently a senior here at New Hartford. I'm president of National Honor Society. And what National Honor Society is that juniors with a cumulative average of 94, are able to enter the club. And we've had a huge success with the club this year. Starting in just the summer, we've had students work with children coming to New Hartford in grades 1 through 6, and we worked alongside them with math and reading. And that was a great experience to give back to our community. We also, in October, helped out with the Alex Kogut 5K, and it was a great way for members of Honor Society to connect with the community. And to name a few other things, we held fall and spring cleanups and did Salvation Army bell rings, and so it was a great year for us. And what New Hartford means to me is it's a place for students to come together with similar goals and achievements and work alongside great teachers. I was not originally from New Hartford. I moved here actually in 6th grade, and while I wore black for a week in mourning because I didn't want to move here, I'm so thankful that I did, and I can't thank my mom enough. So New Hartford means to me, it's a great place to learn and to be a part of teams and musicals and sports and any club that you can imagine here. And so I'm very thankful that I went here. And I will be attending Boston College in the fall to study biology, and I will be focusing on a pre-med track.
I would ask that you would maybe go to the side so that the board could hear your presentations or your speak, because we can't hear you from. Okay. Thank you.
Hello everybody, my name is Diane Matthews, and I just have to say that I really enjoy the fact that I've been able to take a bunch of different courses over the past couple of years. And I've also taken advantage of the fact that I can take a bunch of different extracurricular activities. I've been a part of yearbook, sophomore, junior, and senior class officers, as well as National Honor Society. And this is all a different mix of different interests I have. And the fact that I'm able to take all of them, I truly enjoy. I've also been a part of marching band since 7th grade. And these things have taught me a lot about being responsible, as well as working in a team. And I'm so thankful I've been able to do that. I'm happy to say I'll be attending Binghamton University next year, and I'll be learning about biology.
Hi everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Christina Zina. I'm so honored to be president of Student Council here at New Hartford High School. I'm also a senior, and over my years I've had the honor and privilege of attending New Hartford District since I was in kindergarten. And I kind of woke up with a good timing, enlightening moment this morning as to why I'm so grateful that I was a part of New Hartford for so long of my life. And really it comes down to the fact that New Hartford's a community, and when you go to the school, you're not really just going to your classes, you're kind of enriching yourself and your experience and your involvement with your peers. I've had a great honor and pleasure to take so many different classes here. For example, this year I took AP Environmental Science, which was a huge stretch for me because I do not like to put my hands in dirt, but I did it this year. And we did so many cool things, and it was really a cool class for me to learn so much about the environment, and something I really wouldn't consider otherwise. And so I was so grateful for New Hartford to give me the opportunity to learn and to offer such courses that I would never really consider, but really enriched my experience. More so, extracurriculars do a great job in involvement. I'm primarily math and science oriented, but extracurriculars have really given me the opportunity to explore other interests and ideas such as government, foreign affairs, and so on. And I'd really like to point out that New Hartford does an excellent job in providing resources for our students. So we have the library open during study halls, which is amazing for students to come here. We have so many books available, as you can see. We have a great program where we can get books from other libraries. We have that beautiful computer lab behind you, which is great for printing out resources or anything you need. So honestly, New Hartford's just been a great place for me to be. And next year we'll be attending not New Hartford, unfortunately. I'll be attending Harvard University, and I will probably major or concentrate. They don't have majors in mathematics on a pre-med track.
Okay. Hi, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Zayn Alamir. I'm a senior at New Hartford High School, and I really love it here. I don't really know how else to say it. For me, leaving is going to be very difficult. I've been a part of many clubs. I've been here since 2nd grade, so I'm pretty well versed in New Hartford, if I do say so myself. I've been a part of Mock Trial and Model UN and Physical Science Club and National Honor Society and Key Club and a lot of other different things. And I think it's really great that New Hartford has allowed us to do so much, whether it be in academics or extracurriculars. I've been able to do so many APs and just really stretch myself. Like this year I took biotechnology, which is something I thought I would completely hate. But I ended up really loving it, and it showed me how I can apply bio to advances in technology and to see how the world is working now. Because that's really important in the career field that we're entering, because everything's completely advancing now. Every day there's something new. So it's really beneficial for us. And in terms of extracurriculars, I just think it's really awesome. I've had the opportunity to go so many places. For Model UN, I got to go to New York City. For Mask, I've got to be on stage to perform in shows, and I've got to see shows that even junior high kids are doing, which is really, really awesome. And I've got to go to district courts and see real judges in action and watch real attorneys work and get criticism on how we can work in mock trial and get really beneficial feedback about how the law system works as well, and the United Nations with Model UN. So overall, I feel like New Hartford's just really great, and it feels like a community. When I come to school, I can say hi to somebody in the hallway, and they'll say hi back. I can talk to somebody about our biggest case of the year, or I can talk to them about the resolution that we passed at our Model UN conference. So it's just been really, really great, and thank you for everything you guys
Great. Hello, everyone. My name is Molly Lorenz, and I'm also a senior here. I've been involved in several activities. I've been on the cross-country team and the track team, which I've enjoyed a lot. I also played the violin in the orchestra, and I've gotten to be in area all-state orchestras and participate in NISMA and play in the pit in the mass productions the past 2 years. Also, I am the president of Key Club. The Key Club focuses on volunteering in the community. I think we've had a successful year. We started out with the Halloween carnival with the elementary children, and we raised over $1,800, which we were able to divide up and give to several organizations. We've also volunteered at the Thea Bowman House and the Presbyterian Nursing Home. We helped out at the Heart Run and Walk. Recently, we just had our second blood drive of the year, which was a success. We had 41 people donate blood. And that was really a great experience for me because it was the first time I got to give blood. And it was such an easy experience, and I got to save 3 lives and get free cookies and juice, which was the best part. Anyways, I'll be attending Nazareth in the fall, and I hope to continue my academic career there.
I'm Eileen Hernan. I'm a senior here. Let's see. This year I was the drum major of the marching band. I'm kind of a musical nerd. I play the flute in the band and the cello in the orchestra, and I've been in the marching band for 6 years. Like I said, I was the drum major, which meant that I conducted the band this year. And the band was really successful. We came in second for our division in the state at championships. We were really proud of that. Outside of band, I'm also in Mask. This year I served as secretary of Mask, and I've been involved with that since 7th grade. Let's see, I also run on the varsity track team. I've been doing that since freshman year. And I was in Ecology Club this year, which was kind of new for me because, like Tina said, I don't like to nature is not like my thing. I don't want to put my hands in dirt. But I tried it this year, and the Ecology Club went to the Envirothon, which is a regional thing put on by the Oneida County Water and Land Use Authority. And we placed second overall, which was really exciting. So I guess my experience at New Hartford has been most beneficial because, unlike most high schools, it's not a bubble. We really encourage forward thinking and what comes after graduation. Just this year, I went to a couple seminars. They were more like discussions held by 2 Hamilton College students, and they were able to talk about what the college experience is like, in the classroom, in the social setting, and that made me feel a lot more comfortable about graduating and moving on. Also, Leadership Corps, which is a new club this year, they brought in a lot of alumni to talk about just how New Hartford has benefited them through college and beyond into the real world. Next year I'm going to go to the University of Virginia and hopefully study political science.
Hi, I'm Danielle Malta. I'm a senior here at New Hartford, and I'm the president of Mask. I have been a part of Mask for 6 years now, and I don't know what I would have done without it. Mask is open to grades 7 through 12, and one of Mask's special qualities is that it isn't just a typical music group that requires playing an instrument or having a musical background. Instead, many athletic students have found their new home on the stage. It is a place to show off maybe some of your hidden talents that peers may not have known about you, and I feel that everyone who joins thoroughly enjoys it. I understand that in many schools, unfortunately, music programs are not the school's top priorities, but as a student who has been a part of many musical groups such as Mask, marching band, drumline, and band, I surely have taken advantage of what New Hartford has to offer. As being part of these activities in school, they all stand out to me, but Mask isn't just a club or activity. We have become a family and create a bond that sticks with you. These programs have shaped me into a person that I am. They have helped me to excel more than I could possibly imagine. In 7th grade, looking up to whoever was the president of Mask at the time, I would have said, no way am I ever going to do that. I could never get up in front of my peers and lead them. But over the years, Mask has changed me and brought me to a point where I felt confident to be a leader and step out of my comfort zone. Mask is one of those clubs that sticks with you, and I believe that Mask's performances are something special to New Hartford that everyone looks forward to. It also is a very popular and successful event that attracts not only the students and their families, but faculty members and people in the community as well. As I do not intend on majoring in music at college, I will take my experiences and lessons that I have learned from these clubs and activities and use them in the years to come. I will be headed to North Carolina to attend Campbell University to study psychology in the fall. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Deepak John, and I'm the senior class president for the class of 2014. But I'm also involved in several other activities that New Hartford offers its students. I'm on the varsity tennis and soccer teams. I also am involved with New Hartford's Model UN Club. I'm the vice president of the Sanger chapter of the National Honor Society, and I also play piano in New Hartford's jazz band. But however, mostly as a senior class president, I've worked by leading my class officers to create and organize various class activities, most notably the senior class trip to Boston and also the senior ball. And given that so many of my classmates look forward to these events so much throughout the year, it really has meant a lot to me that I've had the opportunity to get involved with student government and do my part to make the school year better for my classmates. And I also think that the diversity of extracurricular activities means a lot to the students of New Hartford. And I think for sure, at least for me, being involved with all these activities has offered me so many opportunities to learn outside the classroom, and together they've made me a much more well-rounded person than who I would have been otherwise. Thank you. I plan to attend Dartmouth College next year and study neuroscience. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Dakota Baber. I'm a senior here at New Hartford, and I am involved in Alternate Energy Club as well as the Project Lead the Way courses we have here. I've done a lot with science and engineering in these courses, and it's really helped me to interact more with robotics and science and engineering. Sorry. That's a little short notice, and I stumbled with my words. Sorry. You want to put that in? Yeah, sorry about that.
Hi, my name is Alyssa Tucherone, and I'm a senior here at New Hartford. I have lived in New Hartford all my life and really couldn't picture going to any other high school. The opportunities we're giving are amazing, and I love them, and I appreciate them all very much. I am co-president of our Students for Justice and Equality Club, SJE for short. We focus, in essence, on making the world a better place and really raising awareness for certain problems we have in our society these days. We have done many things to really achieve our goals, one of them being trash pickup, like picking up litter on Earth Day, and one of our biggest things we do is called Band-Aid. We do it here at the high school. We have local bands and entertainers and whoever students come and participate and perform, and for admission all you do is you donate to a local cause. So I think it's really great. We always have a huge turnout and it's just wonderful. It's probably my favorite thing we do all year. And then on the other spectrum we have display cases, and we use those to kind of raise awareness for things ranging from dating violence, pollution, and then like human trafficking. We try to really cover all of that, not just donations and charity work. For charities, we donate locally and internationally. It's one of the things we really try to do to improve our society today. So we really appreciate that, and I think I speak on behalf of all of SJE Club that we appreciate all the funding and achievements that we've done. So thank you very much. I plan on studying locally next year at Utica College in the field of biology, hopefully getting into the field of veterinary, so I'm really excited.
Hi, I'm Belgian Ben. I'm an exchange student here at New Hartford. I didn't know I was coming up here, so this is a surprise. But I really would like to say that I love being here at New Hartford. I tried to be really involved in music and sports in many clubs, and it has been a really rewarding experience thanks to New Hartford. Thank you.
On behalf of the board, I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. You are the reason why we're all here. You are the reason why we spend countless hours in arduous discussions. You're the reason why we put budgets together. And on behalf of the whole board and the whole school district, we wish you much continued success, and may you someday run for school board.
Thank you for all that you do. You've really made our experience and all of our years here so amazing. And honestly, that's the reason I think we all agreed to speak today, was because we really feel a connection with New Hartford, and we feel like it's our home. And I think it's sad for all of us. It's a bittersweet moment now that we're graduating. But thank you for all of your support. I won't drag this on, but we really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jennifer. I know you probably had something to do with everything tonight. I want to recognize some people in the audience. We have Congresswoman Claudia Tender-Lewis, or Assemblywoman, and I also want to recognize prior board member. We have Mark Steppenbach, and I'm not sure if anybody else is here, but thank you. And Lori Zaman, thank you very much for being here today. And Claudia, I do have a question for you. Can you reinstate our $9 million?
I voted against the budget.
Well, thank you for attending. I appreciate it. Okay, now, last but not least, do we have any more questions?
Hi, Lori Zaman, 4 Butternut Road, New Hartford, New York. My question is U.S. News and World Report. We were a gold medal school, we're not a gold medal school now. After seeing and hearing all the acclimates, I'm sure it's something very silly. So if you can address that, I'd appreciate it. And from the bottom of my heart, Vince, we're going to miss you a lot. Thanks for your patience, your dedication, your professionalism. Really.
Thank you. Yeah, Lori, Vince, I'm going to let you take that. It's a 3-part formula, and I know we just got something.
So it is true that New Hartford in the past has been recognized by U.S. News and World Report. In 2009, we received a silver medal ranking, and in 2012, we received a gold medal ranking. This year, unfortunately, we were not ranked. So I'll give you the short answer, Lori, and then a little more detailed fill-in. The short answer is the different organizations like Newsweek, Washington Post, and U.S. News and World Report use different measures, use different metrics and formulas. Washington Post and Newsweek, we're trying to identify challenging schools, so they focused on schools with the largest percentage of students taking the most advanced and rigorous curriculum and the performance that they did in there. U.S. News and World Report has a more comprehensive formula. It is a 3-part formula. They rank schools based on what they call a college ready index. But in order to get that ranking, you first have to pass 2 checkpoints. New Hartford passed 1 checkpoint and not the other. So the checkpoint that we did pass took a look at how our students in subgroups performed compared to the state average. Those subgroups are typically ethnic groups. racial groups, economically disadvantaged, and students with disability and English language learners. So they took a look at those groups and how did they do compared to state averages, and New Hartford succeeded highly there. And then the measure that we did not meet this year, they take a look at the performance proficiency rates of all students in math and English, and then they also take a subgroup of that same metric, which is proficiency in math and English, of economically disadvantaged students. And New Hartford had 99% of our students 2 years ago, because that's where the data comes from, were proficient in English and math, and 96% of our students that were economically disadvantaged were proficient in English and math. However, they use what is called a regression target. So schools with lower percentages of students that are qualified as economically disadvantaged, the target is higher. And so our 96% proficiency rate for economically disadvantaged students was not high enough given our demographics to qualify for the U.S. News Index. We very, very narrowly missed that index. Had we gone over, our college readiness index would have qualified us for gold medal status, but we were not eligible for ranking because we didn't hit that checkpoint.
Thank you.
Great question. Thank you, Lori. And thank you for all you do on the PTA. I appreciate it. Any other questions?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm Ed Whiter. I live in Hartford. With regard to the proposal for budget purchase, what criteria is used by the board to establish the need for these buses? And part two to that, what efforts have been made by the school board to outsource and save the taxpayers dollars with regards to the annual purchase of these school buses?
Thank you, Mr. White. Would you like to address that question?
My slide on the bus proposition. As I stated earlier, we do have the long-range replacement plan for buses. Buses are purchased off-state contract, and so that is some of the criteria that we use. Off-state contract, and if those buses are not on state contract, then we do a competitive bid process. Again, we use a replacement plan of 10 to 11 years. Some of the recommendations for industry are 7 years. We have excellent mechanics, and this year for the first time received 100% of rating with our DOT inspection, which are stringent inspections that we do go through. So our mechanics have been wonderful. They've been able to keep our buses in great shape. And as I mentioned earlier, thank you. We replace buses with approximately, on average, 100,000 miles. We rotate those buses. If certain bus runs have additional mileage, we'll change the buses out every few years. We try not to do that every year because it causes mass confusion of the parents that know that out there who's looking for bus 242 and 216 is your new bus this year. So we try to rotate those buses every few years depending on the miles. Again, we do receive state aid over a 5-year period for transportation, so we borrow over a 5-year period, and that borrowing is to match the aid flow and transportation aid for the purchase of those buses. We also, through the BG&T committee, we look at alternative methods for transportation, meaning outsourcing, which is what you asked about.
Correct.
We do contact local vendors and also communicate with other local school districts. There are 2 that I can think of right now that we do communicate with that do outsource their transportation. And we compare not just cost, but we also compare, cost is one of the primary things that we do compare, but we also compare logistics as well as our staffing and many other alternative methods of measuring for who are transporting our students on a day-to-day basis, and we do have union contracts involved as well that are associated with that. Okay.
Well, I just have supplemental to that, Mary. With regard to the bus purchases, if Bernie Bus Service came to the school board, and it's my recollection that a couple of years ago, perhaps a little longer, a little shorter, there was a gentleman that offered where Bernie Bus could save the school district $1 million. How come the board doesn't take that seriously for the taxpayers when you continue, not you, the board continues to pass, or I should say, obtain funding for buses? And concurrent with that, we have buses, I believe you're running on diesel, correct? They're not propane, they're not updated as far as clean air, so to speak. So it would, common sense tells me, and based on the information that we've gleaned, diesel buses have a longer life in terms of mileage. And how do we compare our 100,000 mile replacement plan with other school districts?
To address the board looking at this seriously and not seriously, as I stated earlier, every year we do go through, we meaning the BG&T committee and the whole board, we do go through a process of analyzing and comparing the dollars. Every year that we look at that, we have not had a $1 million savings each year. As a matter of fact, the savings actually has been very close in what our expenses are. So that's just looking at the dollars. We also look at the big picture of our bus transportation purchases. It's not just the dollars for that current year. We also have a full fleet of vehicles. We also have, employees that, are union employees as well, and many other factors, just as I stated, the safety of our students. We know our drivers know our children. And most of them live in the district, or many of them live in the district, and have dedicated quite a bit of their career to working with the district. So there are many other factors involved, and financial. Every year we look at the financials and do a comparison. Again, communicating with other districts that do have contracts, and there are no apples to apples comparison because we have different types of runs and different needs. So we do look at the transportation comparison in our goals discussions and as well as in our BG&T committees every year. So we do take it very seriously.
Very good.
Thank you.
Let me add one thing to that. In my many years on the board, this comes up every few years. And the one important factor in that is that the district loses complete control of transportation. Parents are very satisfied to know who the driver is. And you would never know. They could change drivers from day to day on the bus routes. So that's the two factors that we look at. You lose complete control of transportation. Here.
Okay, moving on to our next agenda item. We have introduction of candidates. So I would ask that each candidate, in accordance with the Board of Education bylaws, limit their speaking time to 5 minutes. And at the end of everybody's speaking time, we will parlay it into questions from the audience. So, first up, we have Mr. Skid.
Good evening. Oh, okay. I brought my 8 by 14 tag here, so that'll lay nicely on the page there. Good evening. I'm Louis Skane. I want to thank you for the opportunity to be able to speak with you this evening. I just want to make mention of these wonderful young men and women that came before us here that very artfully and urbanely orated the benefits of having gone to New Hartford schools, and I just wish them the best. They were well-versed, enthusiastic, obviously well prepared for study at the collegiate level, and I just think very indicative of the fact that the potential of a New Hartford graduate is just limitless. So I wanted to bring that out. I'm a lifelong resident for the most part of the town of New Hartford. I'm a 1983 graduate of New Hartford High School, a 1987 graduate of Utica College, and I have some graduate coursework in financial management and the social sciences to include the study of complex organizations. I love learning, and I find it to be a wonderful and enriching pursuit, which I will continue with as long as I am able. As for I wish to say that I am married to my wife, Julie. I've been married to her for 20 years. She's a healthcare practitioner practicing locally. We have 2 wonderful children who are in the district, and they are the center of our lives. And I have just a little bit about my professional background. I have many varied experiences in the field of business, sales, marketing, administration, and I have spent a good bit of my time since the birth of my children volunteering in multiple organizations. Specifically, I've coached the New Hartford Little League system for over 5 years and assisted otherwise whenever needed, help out with my daughter's softball team. I also currently serve as a catechist at St. John the Evangelist Religious Education Program. And the reason I want to be elected to the board is to give back to the community to which I'm indebted for a first-rate educational experience. And I also wish to be more involved in my children's education. My platform, if I'd like to say, is that with the goal in mind to spend taxpayer dollars wisely while also maintaining the quality of programs here at New Hartford. And I wish to say that my plan is to work with the existing administration if I'm elected to serve. While I'm not afraid to ask the tough questions that need to be asked, I would like to work with the existing administration to arrive at the best solution that can be arrived at when dealing with problems and issues. Now, this would be a new endeavor for me, and but I realize that the learning curve for education is very steep, but I can promise you that if I am afforded the opportunity to serve, the privilege of serving, I will learn all I can to be the best board member that I can be. I'll arrive on time, and I'll arrive prepared, and as I said, I will would very much welcome the opportunity to serve. Oh, at the end, okay, very well, okay.
Thank you, Mr. Skang. Next up, we have Alexis Kingora, please.
I think I can, my voice can carry pretty well without the microphone, so Rob's going to help me. I prepared a PowerPoint presentation for tonight. And I need this, yes. Yeah. So, everybody sees my name up there. Let's see if I can get it straight. Many people actually are asking, who is this candidate who has a lot of signs out there with the last name being Tangora? My children and my husband's name is Martin. I kept my maiden name for career purposes. So I am a native of Hartford, New York. I graduated at SUNY Albany with a business administration degree. My first career in consumer products, I lived in Syracuse and Buffalo for 8 years. The reason I came back to the area is because of very, very large extended family. Once I moved back here, I did meet my husband, and then we have our family. My second career, currently, I have spent 23 years in the pharmaceutical industry. And my family is here, my husband Harold, my 3 children that all attend Bradley, and some extended family and friends. And we have currently lived in New Hartford for more than 7 years. Okay, point up here, right? Yep. Okay. I'll do it. Okay, we got that. Why did we move to New Hartford? As you've heard this evening by many people, the stellar reputation. I actually have 2 cousins that graduated from New Hartford who have very successful careers also in the medical field and also in the law field. And my recent graduates of my niece and my nephew from this school district, one is now a nurse down in Long Island, and my nephew is studying in Buffalo. So we came here because of the academics, the athletics, and the arts and music programs that you've heard the success from all these other children that have gotten up and spoke this evening. Why run for school board? Believe me when I say this was never my intent, but because of the academic year, that this year really focused on Common Core and a full thrust forward with Common Core, I saw the big changes in curriculum and challenges with my own family and decided to become involved and learn more about the curriculum and the educational process. So I have to give credit to Assemblywoman Claudia Tenney because hers was the very first meeting that I attended as far as getting some information that they held up at the BOCES Forum. I've been attending the Common Core Task Force meetings to learn more, and I can say that I am the only candidate that has been regularly attending Board of Education meetings since the fall. I continue to have parents and teachers and administration conversations to see how their children are doing, how the teachers are doing, and how the faculty is doing. What are some of my concerns? Certainly it had been curriculum. That's what threw me into trying to learn more about what was going on. In talking with some of the superintendents from attending the BOCES Forum on So You Want to Be a School Board Member, we learned that there really is more of a perceived poor graduation rates. Recently, the OD published an article that the United States has reached 80%. New York State, 74%. Here in New Hartford, and you've heard the successes this evening, we're at 98% graduation rates here, and we have 91% of those students going to college. Common Core, if you get on the internet, and I will ask if you haven't looked up a lot of that information, start examining it and find out what it's really about. And I'm not talking when it's just here in New Hartford, because I will say that the administration, the teachers have done backflips here to make it as easy of a transition and implementation as possible. But to really think in a broader scope of some of the other school districts around the area, certainly Utica has a population that has 43 different languages. Many of these children, English is not their first language, and when they go home, they're not speaking English. So it's a set of learning skills in effect for literacy and mathematics. And as far as looking at New Hartford, are we college ready? I think we are certainly with 91%. And career ready, I think maybe there's an opportunity for that remaining 9%. And I don't know if I misunderstood you, Vince, when you spoke in regards to us not getting that particular gold medal achievement. Is that the area that we were sort of lacking in?
No.
The 9%?
No.
The career ready? No, okay, so I misunderstood that. But I think that is an opportunity. There are students here that don't go to college. So we have to make sure that we're addressing their needs as well. Again, research out for yourself. See what's going on in other school board meetings in other communities around the state and the country. It is a state mandate. There's been disastrous implementations at other locations. We've gone through it pretty well from talking with faculty and attending meetings. But I think if you look across the board of what's been implemented statewide, you can look at New York City, Long Island. There were school districts that they didn't have books for weeks and weeks and weeks, and they ended up pulling out books from previous years. Excuse me. So there was some issues with grading. That's what puts more children into AIS services. Really, sometimes stressing those particular departments. And that also rolls down and affects those children that have individual education plans. So they may not be getting the services that they really need because the department is stressed, especially if a child is supposed to be having a quiet environment and there's suddenly more children entering into that resource room. They may not be getting the resource or the instruction that they need. Look at the homework. I know from what we saw initially in the beginning of the fall, some of the homework seems to be inappropriate as far as the grade level, and also possibly developmentally inappropriate. Okay. So, oh, I'm going the wrong way here. Okay. We've heard the successes, the high achievers, slightly below, and the average. I think we need to make sure that we're addressing the concerns for all three types of students. Those students that are exceeding the APs, we've heard the successes that we have in the district. We also need to make sure it's the average and the challenged learner. So, and finalizing everything, as far as the teaching staff, I don't believe that the APPR, the performance should be evaluated. The teachers should be evaluated on the backs of children. There's a formula, look into it. Areas such as arts and music, it's a formula, they're not even being tested, but yet they get part of that rating. I will conclude, look, Kim. And one of my final points is fiscal responsibility. If elected, I certainly would try and use good common sense to represent the district. We are not a wealthy district, although many people think that we are. It's what surrounds us. If you look at the state and national average, we are an average wealth district. I would try to ensure that we're getting maximum state grants, lobby elected officials such as some that are here in our audience, and one of the major things is also make sure that there's true transparency for our taxpayers. That when there's a budget issue, when there's a contract issue, that it is not a necessity that every taxpayer has to go to a website and look up what's going to be on the agenda of what is going to be discussed at a board meeting. That I think it needs to be published and available. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alexis. We just wanted to be clear here so that everybody has equal playing time and trying to get people home so they can watch the Rangers win. Next on our agenda is Mr. Stevens.
Before I begin, I would like to thank Mrs. Luker for her 5 years, very dedicated 5 years to the school board. And I'd also like to thank Mrs. Reed Rico for her many years as board clerk. She'll be leaving us. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jim Stevens, and I'm seeking a 4th term on the New Hartford School Board. Before I begin to outline my campaign's areas of concentration, I wanted to share with you some of the brief insights about my personal life. My wife Pat and I have lived in New Hartford for 36 years. I'm the father of 4 children, all of whom were educated in New Hartford. I am proud of their accomplishments and attribute much of that success to their well-rounded education here in New Hartford, which prepared them to reach their goals. With that said, I would like to share with you my working philosophy as a board member and highlight some of my key qualifications and areas of concentration. My philosophy as a board member took shape during my first year on the board when attending the Oneida County BOCES mandatory training session. It was evident that the purpose of school boards is to maintain excellence in education. The emphasis must be on what is best for the student. I have kept that purpose in the forefront when making decisions as a board member. If re-elected, I will focus on 3 areas of concentration. Number 1, a commitment to implementing an effective student curriculum, a commitment to fiscal responsibility, and a commitment to board integrity, collaboration, and innovation. Effective student curriculum. During my years on the board, we've been challenged by several state and federal mandates. These mandates attempted to improve our education system through various standardizations and testing. These mandates, known as No Child Left Behind, Race to the Top, and now Common Core, were created with little input from parents, teachers, administrators, taxpayers, or students. Their implementation has been directly tied to every district's state funding and placed the school system in a difficult situation. While we have been challenged, New Hartford has succeeded. I am confident that I can work effectively with the board at this critical time with Common Core. I am certain that with or without this mandate, we will continue to graduate students who are prepared for the challenges of 2014 and beyond. Fiscal responsibility. Let me share with you my experience. I have assisted in the preparation of 15 New Hartford School District budgets, presented them to the New Hartford voters. All 15 of these budgets have passed, and in many instances, by an overwhelming majority. As a board member, I have worked tirelessly to to ensure that we presented reasonable budgets to the taxpayers while providing a top-notch educational environment for our teachers and our students. In 15 years, I have never had to support cuts to educational resources or benefits that attract the very best teachers. I have never had to support cuts to the sports programs or the arts. The district will continue to explore alternate revenue sources to include grants and shared municipal services and BOCES services. An important fact to remember in 2014 and 2015, there was a decrease in the state aid of about $1.2 million. Since 2010, we've seen a decrease in state aid of about $8.2 million. But we have not cut programs or increased spending in 2013 and 14 was 1.6% compared to 3% of school districts statewide, even though their state aid decrease was less than New Hartford's. In summary, for 15 years, I have demonstrated fiscal responsibility as evidenced by our budget process, board integrity, collaboration, and innovation. As board members, we sometimes have to deal with difficult issues involving those within the district. At times, we are privy to information that is private and sensitive. I have maintained the commitment of confidentiality to the board, faculty, parents, administrators, and students. In terms of collaboration, I've had the honor and pleasure to work with 3 New Hartford School District superintendents, numerous teacher union representatives, many different board members, and many parents. I have worked hard to find common ground and treat everyone with respect. The board requires collaboration and a strong desire to work together. I am proud of the work that I have done over the 15 years. Innovation and creativity have been crucial for our board to succeed in the past, and we will be challenged to find new methods to achieve our goals moving forward. I am proud that we have found new approaches to control spending, enhance resources, and provide a special experience for all of our students that prepares them to reach their full potential and realize their dreams. If re-elected, I will continue to support effective student curriculum, fiscal responsibility, innovation, and creativity, and solutions that produce superior results. It has been a privilege and a great learning experience to serve on the New Hartford School Board for 15 years. I thank you for your time and the opportunity to address all of you, and on May the 20th, I'm asking for your trust and your vote. I will be able to continue to use my experience and proven track record for our students.
Thank you, Jim. Next up, Mr. Deck.
Thank you. I'll stand over to the side just so I can address the entire group. I'd like to introduce myself, let you know who I am, and a little bit about my qualifications, and talk a little bit about my family and how they benefited from the New Hartford experience, and then a quick summary of why I think I'm qualified and what my motivation is for running for the school board. Tonight, as we can see, we're celebrating successes and we're optimistic about where we go, and that's really at the core of my motivation. My name's Fred Deck. I'm a second generation New Hartford resident. I graduated from Hughes Elementary School, Perry Junior High in New Hartford in 1987. I attended Herkimer County Community College and SUNY IT in Utica. I have a bachelor's degree in professional studies related to healthcare administration. I've run nursing homes as large as 360 beds with 480 employees and as small as 60 beds and 100 employees. Human service is what I've done for the bulk of my career. Running a nursing home and being a healthcare executive goes hand in hand with managing government mandates, rollouts, managing setbacks in revenue, and serving our most precious, greatest generation. So I feel that those experiences can apply to that next generation, and I'm very, very excited about that opportunity. My family is the foundation of my life. I'm married to Kathleen, and my son is Cooper, and my daughter is Caroline. Kathleen's an educator, reading resource specialist. She's been recognized in 3 states for getting outstanding outcomes for her students and developing relationships with her peer groups. My son Cooper is a sophomore. He was instrumental in developing the Pal to Pal and Best Buddies program at the junior high and transitioning that program to the high school. Again, his volunteerism and interest in the human element comes across. I'm very proud of him. He's also studying tonight for his AP Euro exam tomorrow. He's also finished up capturing the Tri-Valley Championship as a member of the baseball team tonight. And he is a wonderful young man that shows character, and he's running full speed with the wind behind him, thanks to the board of directors, his teachers, and this community. My daughter is Caroline. She's a 7th grader. She does track and field. She plays the French horn. She's also in Pal to Pal, does track and color guard. So those 3 individuals that I just mentioned are benefiting from this community. I would like to be part of that celebration and be part of that involvement. And that's my primary motivation for running. There really is no agenda on my platform. My agenda is to go in and see who needs help, offer expertise, be humble, and be a voice of positive solutions. If you have any questions, my number's in the phone book. We're looking for a great voter turnout. I think it was 1,600 voters out of 20,000 in the last election. So obviously a great turnout means a good reflection of our goals and our approaches. So I would ask for your vote. I would go humbly forward in serving and offer whatever expertise or common sense that might apply. Thank you. Thank you, board. Great job tonight.
Our next candidate is Mr. Houston.
Thank you very much. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity of speaking to you. I'll try to be brief. I'm Ralph Fusco. I'm a lifelong resident of Utica, New Hartford. Been married to Denise for a very long time. She's wonderful. We have 3 sons, all of whom have been educated here, and they've gone on to very successful careers. When I was here I heard one of the students talk about mock trial. I was a moderator of mock trial when my sons were going to school, and we were very successful, very proud to say. What do I stand for? What is my platform? What do I intend to do? I intend to serve all of the taxpayers, the students, the parents, the teachers in an open and transparent way. I want to help bring the community together on Common Core. We've heard a lot about that. I want to serve the teachers so that they can have the tools that they need to continue our legacy and to teach our children. I want to bring new ideas of accountability for fiscal management and what's meant by serving the public trust. And I also want to bring fairness and a positive experience back to our students in the athletic programs. And I want to apply the experience I've had as a practicing attorney with a discerning eye to the issues that we have, which are different, and to call the shots as you see them, and for the purpose of the welfare of our school system, which means a lot to all of us. The times have changed. There's new issues. Common Core is at the forefront. It's a mandate from the state. The implementation is questionable. There are some students doing well, some students struggling, and other students who are doing very, very terrible. We need leadership in this issue. The status quo of we've done all we can is simply not acceptable. Locally, for example, we can reduce the testing regimen where some of the teachers don't even have time to teach, where they test all day long. We have to listen to our teachers who are on the front line and get their suggestions. They're the ones who see how these children are impacting and how they're reacting to Common Core. We have to bring them in and listen to what they say. We need to listen to the parents who talked about, several weeks ago, there was a meeting where the parents talked about how tormented some of the children were because of Common Core. The jury is out on Common Core. It's a mandate from the state. We can't elect not to follow it. But we can do what we can to implement it as best we can, and we need the participation and input of the teachers. Well, we need to keep our focus on history, science, foreign languages, and not let our the Common Core, for example, overwhelm the attention that we need to give to these other vital parts of a New Hartford curriculum. We can address our athletic programs and increase and examine the fairness as to how that program is implemented. There's a lot of people who are concerned about that. And we can participate in local adversary groups to find out what they think, the pros and cons of Common Core, and so we can have an informed decision and call the shots as we see them on the Board of Education. We can and we should go outside the district to consult other districts in the state to see how they're coping with these issues, to fashion a cohesive and a coherent voice for advocacy in Albany. And I wouldn't hesitate to do that. Actually go and argue your case if we need to do that. We need to organize presentations for the Board of Regents and even the governor, if that's what it takes. Once again, regarding athletics, we need to ensure that there's fairness and a sound management program there. I'll listen, I'll learn, participate, and call the shots as I see them, the way they are presented. There was a talk about ranking, for example. The U.S. News and Report ranking is down. We are now unranked. They have 3 components. The Washington Post, I looked into this today, the Washington Post poll is figured on the basis of the students who take AP courses divided by the number of students who graduate. That's it. The U.S. News and World Report considers not only that factor, but how you do in the AP courses. Talked about the college readiness. They consider whether you get a 1 or a 2 or a 3 or a 4 or a 5. The Washington Post poll doesn't consider that. If you take it, that's all they're concerned about. Gap elimination adjustment. I saw on the board here that there's supposed to be a surplus. How come there's a gap elimination adjustment this year? Maybe it may be absolutely appropriate. We need to look into it. And if there are questions that need to be asked, we should ask those questions. Finally, public trust. We need to make sure that our taxpayers and our teachers and students and all concerned out there have trust in the Board of Education to make the correct decision based upon one category, welfare of our students and the welfare of our taxpayers and the people who are supposed to trust us for what we decide. I'm prepared to do that. I'm willing to ask the questions that need to be answered and to make sure that the public trust is protected. And most importantly, that the legacy that has made New Hartford education a national benchmark continues with new ideas to make sure that that is left intact no matter what happens. I'm prepared to work. I ask for your vote on May 20th. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chief. Last but not least, we have Mrs. King.
I'm Pamela King. I'm last on your speaker list today, and I'm going to be last on the ballot. And I guess I have about 30 seconds, right? Since we've gone so I'll go pretty fast. Tell you a little bit about myself. I grew up and went to high school in Valparaiso, Indiana. It's a community very similar to New Hartford. However, I did come to New York State. I attended college at Cornell University and earned a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. I worked for several years for General Electric, and then I decided to go back to school and get my Master's in Business at Indiana University. I worked for a few years after that for Whirlpool Corporation in Michigan, and have been self-employed now for the last few years. First as a business consultant, for the last 11 years as a product brokerage and internet marketing franchise owner. I also teach fitness at several locations locally. For the past 12 years, I've been very involved in the community in several organizations. I've held leadership roles in the PTA, St. John the Evangelist, Religious Education. I'm currently, and have been for the last several years, on the advisory board there for religious education, several years with the New Hartford Pop Warner Board, and currently the Scholastics Chair there. And I'm currently a PTA member of 3 of our 5 schools, and also a PTA council representative. My husband Michael and I have lived in New Hartford for 16 years. We have 4 sons. Our oldest graduated last year, our oldest son, Tori. I'm thankful that I picked him up from his first year, freshman year at University of Notre Dame, where he did very well, so we were very proud of him, and had a great education through all his years at New Hartford. Our second son is a junior at the high school, Dempsey, involved in various activities, music and sports. Our third son, Lucas, is a freshman at Perry Junior High, and our fourth son, Seton, is a 6th grader at Miles. So there's my 3 PTAs. So moving on, I won't be on 3 PTAs anymore, and hopefully will be a board member next year. All my sons, very involved, couldn't name all the sports, but also music, orchestra, band, extracurricular jazz band, phenomenal music program here, great sports program, great extracurricular activities. Again, too numerous to mention, but I've been very engaged on a day-to-day basis. They're still very involved in the community and in the schools with all those activities. And I'm well aware, as all these students spoke, of how important all those components are into taking them to the next level, whether it be for college or a vocation or somewhere else out in the world. It's becoming a bigger world out there, so those components are very key, as well as the academics and challenging them at all those levels. I'm very excited to be running for school board. I'm hoping to be a school board member, and I think my experience and my skills really lend themselves, and my current involvement in the schools really lend themselves to being a school board member. My commitment is in 3 key areas. First, continuous improvement. While I think we do a phenomenal job here, I think there's always room for improvement. I think, again, the world gets bigger. The challenges just getting into some of these schools that these kids were talking about gets more and more. If I were to go back and apply to Cornell University today, I would not get it. I could guarantee you, based on what these kids are facing. I mean, it's a bigger world, challenging. So we always have to be looking at what we're bringing to these kids at all levels, at all components, you know, and giving them the best in each of those key components. Open communications. I think it's important for our community to know what the key issues are. We need to be telling them just even things about getting a voter registration, getting people out to vote. So we need to engage the community. There's several ways to be doing that. But also listening to all the key parts of the community, the teachers, the students, the parents, the staff, all those people are key. So listening and learning, it's a two-way open communications. And increased efficiencies. You know, we always have budget cuts. We always have things that were unexpected with the state. So we always have to be looking at where our monies are spent, and I can be engaged in that process with my past business experience. Getting the best use of our resources and the most efficient use of your school tax dollars. So I can guarantee with me, you're going to get somebody who's going to listen, learn, investigate, and challenge the administration to really get the best in each of the components, in the academics, in the sports, in the music, and in our arts. Feel free to contact me. It's PamelaHKing@gmail.com if you have any questions. And I look forward to being a school board member next year with your vote. Thank you.
I'm going to open up the floor for questions to any of our board members or to the group. Yes. Lori.
Hi, Lori Zaman, 4 Butternut Road, New Hartford. I had the pleasure of being at Miles Elementary PTA meeting not too long ago to celebrate their 60th anniversary as a PTA. And that evening, I listened to the candidates speak. And Alexis, you said that...
Lauren, we went through this at Miles.
You said that you opted your children out.
I certainly did.
And that you did so to make a political statement.
As an individual, I have the opportunity, yes.
Yes, you do. But as a board member, this is a nonpartisan group of individuals. And as a previous board member, please let me speak.
Sure, go
You'll
ahead.
have your chance. Okay, as a previous board member, I can tell you that one of the biggest challenges is trying to keep an open mind and kind of keeping politics out of things and keeping your personal opinions outside of the boardroom. So I would just say to you, if you do get elected, that you do not do that when you sit up there with this group of individuals. Because if you do, you are not representing me. I have a student who transferred 53 credits from this high school and did phenomenal in her first year of school. I just brought her home from Chicago, okay? There are times that I felt as a parent, we did not give benefit to the accelerated children. we were giving more benefit to the children who were struggling. So there are two sides to every story.
Absolutely. And
Okay?
I was at
So
the-
I just want to say that it is a nonpartisan board. To bring politics into it is shameful. Thank you.
It was my political opinion, Lori, that I made the choice to opt my children
Political
out.
opinion, that's my point.
personal political opinion, which I'm entitled to, and there are also opinions of the board members that they have the right to do what they want to do with their children, developing through the curriculum.
Not as a board member.
If I have an option, if I want to opt my children out, I certainly still can. I'm not going to give up my rights as a parent to make decisions for my own children. Decisions that will be made on the board, if I am elected, will be a joint venture. I will be able to offer my opinion and my suggestions. I think it's fantastic of the accolades that New Hartford has. That's why I moved here. And we have heard all the students, how well they do. But because of Common Core, these kids in the middle have been squeezed, and the kids certainly with developmental opportunities have been squeezed even more beyond from what your daughter experienced, because those kids beyond 10th grade, in 10th grade right now, will have no part of Common Core. 9th grade starts next year, they have to take that algebra test. So anything that the kids have done before and the accolades that they've had is on a different system. We're on a different system with Common Core right now. So I'm concerned about that 9%, that this whole program of Common Core is supposed to be career and college ready. New Hartford's college ready. I don't disagree with that one bit. 91% of our kids go to college. I want my kids to go to college, but there are children in this district that may not, and we need to offer opportunities. And even with attending the BOCES forum, in regards to, so you want to be a school board member, Superintendent Mabakwa point blank said, it is a perceived wrong perception that we're failing these children. In New Hartford, I don't think we're failing these children. We have success numerous. But what he did say is we need to make sure the other kids that they can go into trades. They can't get enough. If nanotechnology comes here, they're building the facility. We don't have the labor here to handle that. We're looking at people wanting to move into the area. We want them to come to New Hartford. This is the place to be. But we have to provide some of the students that aren't going to go to college. And you listen to all these kids, 40% of kids that go to four-year college across the country do not finish a four-year degree. And they are seated with a huge financial debt to pay back because they didn't finish. And even if they do finish, he gave an example of some kids making choices to go to a university or a college that is going to cost them $40,000 a year and come out with a teaching degree that he said he'll start them at 35. So there's huge problems that we're facing in our education system. I'm not taking away from the kids with AP courses. I have, as I mentioned, cousins and family members that did extremely well in this district. That's why I moved here. But I am concerned for all our children, those that excel, those in the middle, and those that have learning issues.
Thank you very much. Are there any other questions?
Ms. Luker, the board had asked for questions to be directed to the prospective candidates, not personal attacks. I would think that the board would want questions asked of the prospective board members. Is that correct? Not personal attacks.
I asked a question.
Yes.
That was more of a personal attack.
You can, that's your perception. I asked
You
a
did it every
question.
meeting you've attended that I've spoken, Lori.
I have the right, right? You have a right, I have a right.
Here, does anybody else in the audience have any questions? Because I personally have some questions. Yes.
Yeah, I would like to ask Mr. Fusco exactly what he meant by fairness in sports.
What's your name, ma'am?
I'm sorry, Barb Cavella, 6
Thanks.
Some people have suggested that certain students get made parts of teams, for example, that may not qualify for those teams. There may be some connection to getting somebody on a team, somebody's son, somebody's daughter, and there are other people who have complained about that process. And what they want is they want sports teams to be comprised of those students who qualify for the sports team. And they want the management and the selection of these participants to be fair. And my point is that at this point, I'm not on the board, so I don't know. But I do believe we got to sit and listen to what people say to make sure that if the complaint has a credible basis to it, then maybe it's something that we should do something about. But my point is that, in fairness, I have entertained, I've heard that, and I think that it's something that the board should entertain to resolve.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chief. Any other questions? I have a couple of personal questions myself. You know, it's ironic that as a district, we go through some major security things in order to hire our employees. But as board members, we have nothing. So I'm going to ask each one of you, and I would like each one of you to stand and advise me if any of you are currently involved in any personal legal entities involving drugs, domestic violence, child abuse, assault, or any other pertinent thing that might go against the Dignity for Students Act.
My answer is no. I'm a licensed nursing home administrator, so in the state of New York, there has to be a criminal background check and other verifications along with credentialing process. And I've never had as much. Well, I have had a speeding ticket. Let's get that. But otherwise, no. I would. That's an important part of human service to make sure that there's a character situation and a legal situation. So I'm free and clear.
Thank you, Mr. Jack. I'm going to ask each of you to stand up.
Yeah, no, I'm not involved in any.
Thank you, Pam.
I have never been involved in any of that stuff in my life.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Unequivocally, veritably, no.
Kim, no, I have never been involved in any of those situations and have had background checks in adopting my children. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. One of you, next question I have, are any of you related to anybody else on the board?
Well, I can answer that. Ed Flemma and I are first cousins. His father and my mother, brother and sister.
Okay.
And I'm very happy with that.
Me too. Glad to hear that.
I guess another quick question is, if you, pardon me? Oh, does anybody else need to answer that? No? Okay. If you, I guess I'll just quickly, if you guys had to cut expenses because you personally believe that we shouldn't be paying more than inflation in our expense budget or some indice, what would be your area of cutting?
I'll answer that question first, I guess, if I can lead into it. I think you just have to be very closely examined, Mrs. Luker. I don't think that I can just reflexively, from a knee-jerk standpoint, answer that question. I think that there have to be a comprehensive analysis would need to be made as to what areas, we were involved with, and
Exactly.
I really feel like, not to be smug, but I would tell you that, I think it would require a comprehensive analysis before an intelligent decision could be made as to where cuts could be made. Because I would think that that's the last thing that we want to do. Certainly. I mean, I think that, I'm going to add this, I think a frequent target for cutting, are the arts and music programs. And, I would really hate to see something like that, be subject to any constriction in funds. So, I just suffice it to say that I think that's something that would require a comprehensive analysis that I don't believe.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Anybody else?
Along those same lines, you put, it's extremely challenging across the board with any large organization. I would just try to look at on a trail back theory from the student or the bedside, which is a term that I use, from the delivery of service drawn back. I know we did some expense savings in utilities and what have you. That's where I would start there and kind of draw back to the least low-hanging fruit, so to speak. we do have facilities here that are in good shape. You know, we may not need the new gymnasium or the new track or something like that.
Thank you, Mr. Jeff. I'm not going to pressure anybody else to answer, but if anybody else wants to answer, they can.
You really don't have to make cuts. This has been evident in the last 2 years. We've got very capable people, Mrs. Mandel, Superintendent Knoll. The last few years have been a real challenge with the amount of state aid that we've lost. And if you work together, the board works with the administrators, you will find areas that you can tweak and not make cuts. And we've found that in the last few years, and we've done a great job with it.
Thank you, Jim. If nobody else wants to answer, any other questions? Yes.
My name is Eileen Hernan. I live at 19 Pippenwood Drive in New Hartford. So obviously there were a handful of students here at the beginning of the meeting, and they all left, except for 3 of us, after their part was done. And I was just wondering if any of the current board members or prospective board members had any ideas for increasing student involvement in attending board meetings and making sure that the student voice is not lost in all of these big decisions.
Great idea.
I'd like to answer that. I actually came up with a couple of ideas from attending the last meeting. Mr. Flemma asked the question on how some of the clerks were chosen in regards to the upcoming election. And I thought maybe that would be an opportunity where some of our students in our government classes could also participate in helping to see how an election is actually run. Also, you know, participating as opposed to just it being adults all the time. Certainly if there's guidelines that are in place, you might just be an additional person there, but I think there's an opportunity through the elections. I personally brought my 3 children, explained to them through this whole process, with me attempting to run for the board here and campaigning, that this was an exercise in democracy. And sometimes you win and sometimes you don't, but you have the right to run and learn lessons through that experience.
Thank you.
Can I also say that, I'm sorry, Pam.
No, that's okay, go ahead.
I think that's a great suggestion, and I think as chair of the Community Relations Committee, we've actually worked to doing that. We've started a couple years ago. Every time we go to a different school to hold a board meeting, we've asked students, we've seen what students can do. We've had them either perform, or we see some of the things that they're working on in their curriculum, and try to sort of connect more with the students. And I think we were trying to do a better job of doing that. I think if we had somebody from the government student government come to every one of our board meetings, I think that would be terrific, and I would love to see that, because I think you're right. I think students should be more engaged with us, and we should be more engaged with you guys.
Just real quick, I was happy to see all of you here. And I think along the lines, I think just getting the word out a little bit more. I mean, this is a whole different generation. They communicate via social media these days and all kinds of things. And I realized today a lot of them still weren't registered to vote for next year, including my 19-year-old son, or for next week, I should say, for the vote. And getting some suggestions from them. So being engaged in how they communicate these days, I think is key, and just getting that word out there. So I was happy to hear that she said she had some pretty good attendance from 4 to 7 getting registered. I don't know if it had anything to do with that, but I was tweeting and texting and getting my sons to do the same thing, saying get down there because you got to get registered if you want to vote next week. So just little things like that, I think, talking among the schools. So, you know, just getting the word out there, and I love that you guys are here, and just keep spreading the word, because you should be engaged in what your school's doing.
I think Pam makes a great point there, and I think that's actually an exercise that they could carry over in government classes as an ongoing curriculum throughout the year when people are turning 18, to encourage them to vote, at least for the first election, for them to participate in their school board election.
Over the last few years, I think the Board of Administrators have shown an effort to get students involved. And one of the ways we're starting to get them involved is to have students involved in different committees that we've had. And we've, on some of the committees, I know Lisa has, on some of her committees, had at least one student on that committee. And we're getting them involved.
Thank you, Jim. Any other questions?
That's a good question.
I'm going to wrap it up and say, whoever wins, you have a huge legacy to fill, to move the district in a positive, forward light. I truly hope you take this mission serious. I wish you all the very best. And on a personal note, I want to say it has been a very rewarding and a proud 5 years. It's been an honor to serve with these people, my prior board members, and I wish only continued success for our district, but more importantly for the students. Thank you.